Just gonna move this little. Thank you for being here. I got a little emotional this morning because it's such an honor to be able to share my ancestors with you. As you know, we've been looked on as not real positive people. We've been heathen, savages, what have you. So today, it is an honor for me to be able to share some of my savagery with you. The last time I spoke, I promised to talk about White Buffalo Calf Woman. And she is a Lakota story. And I am not Lakota. I'm a tiny, tiny, tiny bit. Don't ask me how much Native. I don't care. I'm proud of every single drop. But I mostly practice Lakota way. And a lot of times when I hear the wonderful speakers talk about their history and their experiences and their credentials and whatever, I think, we're really not talking about that. We're humble. We don't go around saying we're medicine people. We don't do that. If somebody wants to know who a medicine person is or whatever, someone else tells that person. That person doesn't have a shingle. It's about humility. We always said, the mightier the warrior, the humbler the man. So these two Lakota warriors were out on the plains, and they saw in the distance this white figure. And as they got closer, they saw this beautiful, beautiful woman in white buckskin. And one of them said, "Oh, I can make love to her." He became a pile of worms and dirt. The other warrior said, "She is sacred. She is a woman." So she spoke to the warrior and she said, "You go back to your village and tell them I'm coming." And he did. So it took 4 days, which is a magical number. And White Buffalo Calf woman came and she brought the pipe. The Lakota people were much like the people that Moses brought out of the desert. They were kind of lost. They had forgotten their traditions. They didn't quite know who they were anymore. So she brought this pipe, and it had the teachings, the old ways of the Lakota people to get them back on track. These traditions have been carried on for hundreds of years. I'm here to tell you that pipe still is in the Dakotas, and Chief Arvel Looking Horse has it. They say it's about 500 years old. So what I'm talking about today is honoring our ancestors, and why do we do that? Why do we do that? A lot of cultures are afraid of the spirit world. And rightly so, they can cause mischief. In the Dene way, the Navajo, when someone dies in that hogan, they poke a hole through it so the chindi can get out and not cause trouble. Because that's who they believe caused spiritual sickness. And there's many, many, many ceremonies that they do, blessing way, warrior way, to cure those sickness. And a lot of it is anthropologically and according to Ernest Holmes, change your thinking, change your life. So a lot of those old superstitions, if you want to call them, were removed, but there's still some out there. I can tell you when I go back to Oklahoma, because I'm from California and I'm a lot more progressive thinking than they are, because it's Bible Belt, y'all. I've been called a skili many times. A skili is like a witch. And a friend of mine and we were all going to this gospel singing because if you know, my people have been exposed to Europeans for 500 years at least. So what we did to survive was assimilate, which means blend as much as we could into the dominant culture. Today when I go back to Oklahoma, it's all Christian churches. The Lakotas were taken over by the Catholics. There's Presbyterian sections. Out here was Father Sarah, who we don't consider a saint. And we Jalagi got the Baptists. They took care of us. And it's very different. And then I get to hang around with the traditionalists. And when I get to do that, I get to go out into the woods and I get to sing and dance all night long with my ancestors. So I was feeling a little teary-eyed, like I said, because over there, I'm a heathen. I mean, nobody loves Jesus more than I do, but there's such a division between Christians and traditionalists. I walk down the middle because I want it all. That's just me. I want it all. I want every blessing I can get. But anyway, why is it important to recognize and honor those ancestors? Do we even know who they are? Ancestry has this program now that you can kind of find out where they came from. They're not going to tell the story. Your family should have told you the story of your lineage. Your DNA has the DNA of every single person before you. I want to know who's in there. I want to know what they went through. I want to know the messages they have for me to cope with today's life. I want to know the messages on how to assimilate when I need to. I'm so honored today because I can actually stand here in some of my traditional clothes that I don't wear out in the public because it's sacred and a lot of people just don't understand. But I had a young woman come up to me one day and she said, "Have you been to church today?" And I said, "You're standing on mine." She had no clue what I was saying. No clue what I was saying. But it's really important, and they're starting to find out scientifically why and how healthy and perpetuating Native Indigenous ceremonies are. They're starting to talk about how important it is to stand on the earth barefooted and face the east. We've been doing that forever. I was watching Ancient Aliens last night, and they were talking about coming from the stars. We've always believed we came from the star nations, and we always believe that they're out there helping us, not against us. To me, that is very, very comforting. I was going to honor my ancestors by wearing my traditional dress, but I don't like it. And I'll tell you why. I'll show you why. Missionary.
That's cute.
This is our traditional dress now. By the time we got to Oklahoma Indian Territory on the Trail of Tears, and to my knowledge, none of my family did that. They were out of there before any of that happened. But the ancestors kept bothering us and saying, don't forget us. We need a tradition. We are American Indians here. And we say, Indian, N-D-N, Indian, or Indians. And I know there's all kinds of things going on. Are you American Indian? Are you Native American? Are you Indigenous? I don't care what you call me. But to me, I'm Indian. When I started on this journey, I was 40 years old. I'd gone to a powwow doing my master's thesis on spiritual healing. Never been to a powwow, I couldn't care less about Native things. Didn't even know about Native things. Because my family did everything they could to wipe that out. Why? Boarding schools. We didn't want your kids going to boarding school. You could not work. You could not be buried in a grave other than Indian cemetery. So we hid it. We pretended to be other people. We pretended to be whatever group was around us the most. But we're still here. And why? Because of our ancestors. I went to a powwow and I wanted to dance, but I didn't think I could. I mean, here's all these big plains people with their bustles and all this fancy stuff. And the powwow is what encouraged us to get a traditional dress, because we were starting to join the Indian coming out. In 1975, Jimmy Carter, somewhere around there, passed the Freedom of Religion Act, which allowed us to worship our ancestors, to continue our ceremonies that had been underground and illegal until then. 1975, in a country, one of the first constitutional rights is freedom of religion. So I'm very happy and proud to say and to be here to share the ancestors. Well, this woman said I could take her shawl, and I went down and I stepped into that arena, and something that had always been missing came into me, and I felt whole. All of a sudden I felt whole. I'm 40. I went home and I told my mom, and she said, oh, that's just that Indian blood coming out. I had never heard this. I had never heard anything about this. And I said, well, what tribe? And she says, Cherokee. And I thought, oh, I was hoping it was Comanches, because I wanted to be on them horses and I wanted to be racing across the plains. But no, we're Southeast Woodlands people, which is okay with me. But at that point, I wanted to know who my people were. And it's been a rough road. I've not always been accepted, but that's okay. When I would decide my mother had to be wrong, I have no paperwork. Imagine that your spirituality and who you are is based on a piece of paper? I said, no. I found some of my family in Oklahoma, and they told me stories. And I got to find out about my people. Now on my mother's side, I'm Hungarian. We come from the Huns, Mongolia, and northern Siberia, the Magyar. That's how far I can go back. On my father's side, I can go back to 150 AD to the king of Finland. because the Church of England kept these records to make sure who you married into, like pedigree dogs. Do I care if I have a piece of paper? No, not now. I used to, but not now. I've had dreams. One night I dreamt about 3 women that came to me. One was old, one was older, and one was as old as time. They told me my clan. They told me my clan. My ancestors would tap me on the shoulder. I go, you know, I'm so tired of this. This is really hard, and I'm not being accepted here, but maybe a little bit over here, and I'm a very shy person, and I want to be included in everything, and that didn't happen a lot of times. And I'd walk away, and I'd say, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm just going to live in this society, and they would tap on my shoulder. Don't forget us. Don't forget us. So today, I can see their smiling faces looking at me and saying, thank you, little daughter, thank you. Because I walk for them. If I get out of step, they will let me know. Because I allow them to do that. So how do we honor our ancestors? One of the things that we do, and I haven't done it here, but I started this at my Christian church in Tahlequah, putting out a spirit plate. Spirits like to eat. If you ever saw the movie Coco, it is about El Dia de las Muertes. And what this celebration is about is one day a year, on El Dia de las Muertes, your ancestor can come visit you, but there are requirements. You have to put the altar up, and you have to have a picture of them. So in the movie Coco, there's only part of the picture of his grandfather. So he goes on a search into the spirit world to find out why his grandfather's picture is not on that altar. It's a beautiful story. Beautiful story. So we call it spirit plates. Anytime we do ceremony, we always eat. It's always, let's eat. Come on, let's eat. Come and eat. That's just what we do. We're gonna feed you. We're gonna feed you fried bread. We're gonna feed you a hog fry. We're gonna feed you potatoes. It's all full of fat and cholesterol because that's what we have to eat, but we're gonna share it with you. And we'll share the fat with you. And we'll share all that with you. So at Didi Etchison Indian Methodist Church, which I call my home church in Tahlequah, we have started doing spirit plates after every gathering we have. It's just a piece of every little bit of food on a plate, and we take it out and honor the ancestors with it. We are the 7th tradition. What that means is, and if you think you've been a little challenged in your lifetime, there's a reason for that. Because it is our responsibility to clean up the wreckage of 7 generations. So you really want to know who those people are and what they did and what you're carrying. Because you are the one, we are the ones that get to clean it up, so we don't pass it to the next 7 generations. Kind of a big order, but Creator never gives us something we can't do. It may seem challenging, but ask for help. I was trying to find a list of musicians the other day, and I could not figure out what I did with that, and I knew I always had it here, and blah, 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 and I just couldn't find it, So finally, I've been writing a letter to a man that I call my grandpa in Oklahoma. And he passed away May 27th. And I've been writing a letter to him about all of the teachings he shared with me and how honored I was to sit at his knee. And I did sit at his knee like a little girl because I didn't have a grandfather like that. And I opened that journal, and there was the list of musicians I had been looking for. I said, thank you, because I know he showed me where it was. They are here to help us. We just have to ask. First of all, you kind of have to believe there's a spirit world. And this is where I get in trouble with a lot of non-spirit believers. You know, it's like they're buried, they're gone, you're never going to see them till you go to heaven or whatever. But see, they're here with us. They're always here with us. How comforting is that? If you have seen, and I recommend it except the language, Reservation Dogs, it's on Hulu. It's highly acclaimed history or stories of these 4 young Indian people. It's kind of Creek, because I thought, where is this being filmed? And there's people I know in there and da-da-da. It's in Okmulgee, Oklahoma, and they're Creek, because I understand some of what they're saying. But they're on a quest to carry out the wish of a dead friend. And I'm not going to tell you what happens when it's just, if you can see it, it's highly acclaimed. The language is not the best, because I thought, I don't see Native people talking like that. We don't talk like that. I don't, but they're kids, you know, that's how they talk. And so when we do a sweat launch, the first round that we do, we call in our ancestors. It doesn't matter what color, the race or belief or whatever, they're your ancestors. And you don't know who's going to show up, but someone will. Someone will, I guarantee you. One time, and I'm going to tell you, I don't write this down, it's not part of whatever, but I am a ceremonial leader. Have been for many years, and I earned the right to do that. You can talk to my elders. But it wasn't something I set out to do. I just wanted to pray. I just wanted to pray on the ground in a native way. And I got to do that. And I got called to do more and more and more. And each time I would stand there, I'd go, how did I even get here? How did I even get here? It's because my ancestors were calling me. This is what you need to do. And I'm going to tell you, it's been one heck of a ride. One heck of a ride. But one day, I was over in the Choctaw Nation, because I'm probably more that than Cherokee. I was all by myself. I don't have a family over there anymore. And I was leaving an event where there was just tons and tons of people, but I felt so alone. Have you ever done that? It's just like, there's all these people, but my people aren't here. And I was driving back to my cabin, and I said, where are you? Where are you? You said you would never leave me, you would be here. 10 feet, bald eagle flew out of the grass. And I went, thank you, you're here. What I remembered is a spirit chair. And if I start to forget something, one of my ancestors will go, I forgot the spirit chair. That is for the spirit people. That is for our ancestors. This is for the people that have passed on. They get to have a chair. So is it important that we honor our ancestors? I believe I'm out of time. Am I? Because last night, I'll make this brief. I didn't know what I was gonna say. I thought all I know about is a spirit plate. Why did I even volunteer to do this? I'm gonna stand there with, what? This is what my ancestors gave me, this whole other side of the page, because I asked them. So call on your ancestors, don't be afraid of them. Thank you.
Thank you.